Okay, so now we'll begin on the wrong side of our work. We'll knit across the first garter stitches here, and then we'll begin purling on the wrong side. So we'll purl our first 2 stitches, but then we're gonna slip and drop our yarn over stitch. So insert your needle into that purlwise and drop one of those yarn overs. So purl 1, insert your stitch into your needle your needle into your stitch purlwise, and that first yarn over, slide it over, drop the second yarn over, and then purl your main color. So you'll continue in this manner, slip purlwise, drop the second yarn over, purl 1, slip purlwise, drop the second yarn over, purl 3. And make sure that when you go into the double yarn over stitch, that each time you go in purlwise, that way you don't twist that stitch accidentally. We want those to stay nice and straight and in the same form that the rest of the stitches are. So you will just continue in this manner until you get to the end of your row, and then we'll do one more right side and wrong side slip and knit and purl pattern, just as we're doing. We want to create a nice elongated stitch, and then we'll begin our crisscross pattern. And now we are ready to begin crisscrossing our stitches. So we'll get past these first few stitches to set up our row here. So we're going to knit 2, and then you're going to come to your elongated stitches. Now, you really can just slip these off, and they're really not going to go anywhere with the wool yarn that's being used. They're pretty much locked in place. But if you do feel uncomfortable, you can slip like a locking stitch marker on there or a cable needle through there just to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. So after you slip off that first stitch, then we'll slip our middle center stitch over to our right hand needle, and then slip your second elongated stitch off. At the same time, you'll pick up your first elongated stitch, slip your center stitch back to your left hand needle, and then pick up your far left elongated stitch and slip that back onto your left needle. So your stitches are now crossed. And then we'll insert into your stitches just as if to knit, and we'll knit the first elongated stitch, knit your center stitch, and then knit your second elongated stitch. And then we will knit 3. And then you have your first crossover. So we'll go through that again. You drop your first elongated stitch, slip the center stitch to your right hand needle, slip off the second elongated stitch, pick up your first one to cross that over, slip your center stitch back to your needle, pick up your last elongated stitch, slip that onto your left hand needle, and then knit through your next 3 stitches here to create your crisscross. So now I'll go back to show it if you are throwing your yarn. So you slip your first stitch, elongated stitch, slip that center stitch to your right hand needle, slip your second elongated stitch, pick up your first one, slip your center stitch back to your left needle, pick up your last elongated stitch, slip that onto your left hand needle, and then knit your 3 stitches. And then knit 3. And then you have your crisscross. So I'll do that once more. If you're knitting continental style, slip your first elongated stitch off, slip your center stitch to your right needle, slip your second elongated stitch off, pick up that first one, slip your center stitch back to your left needle, pick up that second elongated stitch, and then from your left needles, knit all 3 stitches. And there you go. And then you'll just continue in that manner until you have crossed all of your elongated stitches.